So it looks like we got even more new information regarding the Klaw Raid that I'm going to cover real quick. I know some of this has already been, I've already covered before because they mentioned most of this, or at least some of this, in the dev stream this past Friday, but because they released an official blog about it, I'm going to go ahead and actually read through this whole blog and kind of maybe give my thoughts and break down some things that might seem a little tricky, or maybe if I misunderstood some things that they said in the dev stream. So I've went over this blog very vaguely, but so some of this I might be picking up for the first time as I'm reading it, but so I'll go ahead and read through this. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So this says discordant sound, players required 4, location Wakanda, power level required 150. So that is a little different. I think the Omega level threat, the power level that was required was 145. So you will have to be 150 on the nose to even attempt the discordant sound, looks like. So let's see. So we learned a lot from the positive reception due to beating the odds. We've heard your feedback on it, and we've taken to heart what you'd like to see more of. Discordant sound is unlike anything we have created thus far and includes multiple areas where the utmost cooperation is necessary between members of your strike team. You'll never know what is waiting for you around the corner, yada yada. That's just fluff. You'll start off under a moonlit area of the Wakandan jungles and make your way to Menanyai, the Vibranium Mound, and delve into the expansive mines within, where you'll face off against Klaw in his monstrous sonic form. Along the way, you'll encounter more than one boss, each with its own mechanics and puzzles to test your mettle. Several of the puzzles are role-based, meaning that different heroes in your group will be best suited for different responsibilities. You'll want to strategize around who is best suited for what needs doing by taking into account what each player, not just a hero, excels in. But it's not a lock and key fit per hero. Any hero can do any puzzle task and build customization. And build customization will help you prepare for whatever role it is to take. So they did talk about that on the dev stream on Friday, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the last thing that I covered about it. So yeah, any hero can take on any task, but you can build it in a certain way where it might be better optimized depending on what you're running. So the roles of your team members and the synergy of your team composition are factors to consider before diving in as well. There are mechanical challenges beyond just DPS checks, so your build can shine in certain moments when your skill set is needed most. Think of a situation where a tanky Hulk holds the line, a movement-based Iron Man gets the job done from afar, a full heal build Miss Marvel is a lifesaver, etc. Advanced preparation, quick thinking, tight teamwork, and responsive communication is essential to conquering the challenge. Well, I honestly low-key hope that not a whole lot of communication is, because, I mean, a lot of people, especially when playing with randoms, don't like to be on mic or just don't have a mic at all, so we'll see with that. So, and a challenge it will be the rematerialized Claws back with a single-minded vengeance, looking to destroy Wakanda once and for all. The raid is the ultimate conclusion to the War for Wakanda expansion and is our toughest content to date. Neither side is backing down, and they're bringing all in their fight. You'll meet some familiar Wakandan forces to aid you and some new ones vying to take you down. Echoes are a new enemy type found in Discordant Sound, and they're formidable foes with an inherent damage resistance and come armed with a new set of debilitating attacks they can't wait to use on you. In the elite version of the raid, enemies are even tougher and more dangerous than their normal version counterparts. For example, Echoes have an upgraded attack where they shoot more projectiles for a bullet hell volley that will test your evasion ability. That's kind of interesting. All elite version enemies take a page from the Echo's book and have more damage resistance. Additionally, you'll have to consider the raid mechanics themselves, as some have different tuning from those in the normal version that will require precise timing and coordination to overcome. As a result, having the right gear for the difficulty is an absolute must. Okay. So now let's talk gear. So this is the meat and potatoes of it. Klaw Raid gear. Regarding gear going into the raid, in both normal and elite versions of Discordant Sound, the gear you outfit your heroes with is super important. We previously mentioned the damage resistance of Echoes and elite enemies. That's a hurdle you'll be able to overcome best with Sonic and Vibranium gear. Having the best gear type for the raid will make a considerable difference, especially in the elite version, where enemy resistances matter immensely. Additionally, the best gear for the elite version of the raid will be found in the normal version of the raid. You'll want to make sure you're readily equipped before acquainting yourself with the big bad Klaw. Okay. So you'll be able to... Okay, so they're really trying to push the Sonic and Vibranium gear. Okay, power level increase. The Klaw Raid weekly mission chain will become viewable when a player reaches power level 150, and the Elite Raid starts at power level 160. If you're not there yet, you can go gear hunting in the Family Reunion mission chain and the weekly mission chain, which award gear that bumps your hero's power level from 140 to 150. Completing the Elite Klaw Raid weekly chain will take your hero from power level 150 to 165, and including the major artifact, the new power level cap is power level 175. The mission's rewards will not increase your power level themselves, but it will match the highest power level you have earned for that gear's specific slot. For example, if you have power level 148 gear in your melee slot, and power level 146 in your heroic slot, the mission will give you power level 148 gear for melee and 146 for heroic. Okay, I think I understand this a little bit more than I did last time, so I think I might have misunderstood this a little bit last time. So I interpreted what they had said as the mission chain gives you a higher power level, and then the gear you get in the mission matches your power level, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like, if I'm understanding this correctly, you're going to have to upgrade the gear yourself beyond a power level of 140, and then the exotic gear that you get for the mission chain rewards and the mission rewards will match the power level that you currently have on whatever slot it gives you. So this is to allow for additional chances at better rolls and give a source of higher power level gear to recycle towards upgrading gear sets you already own. As we mentioned in our Reworks developer blog, you can recycle gear of a higher power level to upgrade your current gear to match the higher power level of the consumed gear. So I'm kind of... Hold on, let me continue reading this last part first. Alongside the Klaw Raid, there are some updates to aspects of gear farming itself coming in patch 2.2. Informed and implemented with player feedback in mind, all eligible heroes earn the weekly rewards once each, rather than once a week per account. We knew this. Also, based on feedback regarding Omega gear not having one, there is a damage buff of some kind on exotic discordant gear. Okay, bravo for that then. If it has some type of flat damage buff, or it says a damage buff of some kind. I'm interested to see what that's going to be. But real quick as well, so I'm impartial to believe that no gear is going to drop at a higher power than 140. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. Either 130 or 140. And the only time you can get a higher power is when you complete the raid and it matches the power level that you've already upgraded. Am I kind of reading into that correctly? I think I am. Which, I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if you upgrade one piece and then you beat the raid and you get a piece of equal power, but you don't like that piece, you can use that piece to upgrade another piece, because like they already said, you can sacrifice it and bring it up. So that this is interesting, right? So weekly mission chain completion rewards: Discordant exotic gear, melee range, Discordant exotic gear, defense heroic, 1 epic raid exclusive minor artifact. We knew this. Mission completion rewards: Discordant exotic gear random slot. Okay, so this is really good actually. So I misunderstood this at first as well. So I took this as they said you would get a piece of discordant gear every single time you completed the raid, regardless of the mission chain, but I took that as a legendary or epic version. But no, you straight up are guaranteed to get an exotic every single time you complete this raid. So this will make this the first piece of content in the game where you're guaranteed to get an exotic no matter what every time you run it. This is a fantastic step in the right direction right here. Fantastic. And then the elite discordant exotic gear, melee ranged or defense heroic, and then 2 epic raid exclusive minor artifacts, and then elite discordant exotic gear in a random slot with 600 fragments. And then here's the description of the brand new gear you'll get from Discordant Sound. So Discordant set description: rarity exotic, preferred attributes might, precision, valor, resilience, preferred status effects sonic and vibranium. Okay, so now Discordant gear. Discordant gear has 4 main themes. Sonic Conduit. Okay, so this is the skill that I believe I forgot before. So Sonic Conduit: when a hero is in proximity to an enemy with an active Sonic status effect, the Sonic Conduit buff is sent once to all nearby heroes. The triggering hero counts as sending the buff. All other heroes affected are receiving. So there's going to be a play on, you can get perks where you get buffs if you're sending, or if you're receiving the perk, you can get buffs if you're actively receiving and stuff like that. The Sonic Conduit perk will always be the heroic gear piece and forms the backbone of several other perks. Sonic Conduit operates much like its name. Once kickstarted, the Sonic status effect which increases intrinsic and heroic energy gain. It activates the Sonic Conduit buff on nearby allies. And it's the same thing that I just described. This happens regardless of whether your teammates have discordant gear. Think of it as the most basic bonus effect. The buff activation and sending to nearby allies makes you a sender of Sonic Conduit. So the team gets a small benefit via the sharing of the Sonic status effect, even if they have no discordant gear. But if they do have discordant gear, then more perks activate. Since all other discordant gear can come with perks that have effects requiring sending or receiving, players who have discordant gear can receive a buff called Sender Sonic Conduit. There is a buff called Receiver Sonic Conduit, which is triggered by somebody activating Sonic Conduit, regardless if they have whether you have discordant gear or not. Sender means you have the Sonic status effect and channeling it to nearby enemies or allies. Receiver is when you're on the receiving end. So this is exactly what I said. I'm not going to read this whole thing. This is exactly what I said. So if you have Sonic Conduit active and you're sending it to your teammates, you are the sender, and then whoever is receiving it are the receivers, and they have perks that can play off of each other. So it says right here, so this granting aim perk, while sending the Sonic Conduit buff to other heroes, melee rock damage is increased. And they did talk about this in the dev stream. I think they said that's like an 80% damage increase. So this is obviously a Hulk perk, and an 80% melee rock damage increase. That can make the rock, like the boulder hit, that can make that extremely, extremely viable. So that's a really cool idea they're playing around with. So if grouping and close teamwork isn't really your thing, there's an option that'll give you some space. Conduit Revival and Lethal Conduit are the two perks that activate Sonic Conduit without the need to activate the Sonic status effect, meaning you won't need to be near a teammate who is a sender or near enemies with Sonic status effect on them. However, the price for this is increased independence. The price for this increased independence is that these perks only ever grant the receiver buff since there is no sender. That's interesting. Okay. So, efficient status perks. In past, melee and ranged gear came with only one status effect perk. This could add too much RNG into successful gear rolls due to the number of attack types these gear types have. To address this, we gave discordant gear status perks that can affect more than one attack type. This is another thing that's special to discordant gear and basically makes melee and ranged gear act as if they had 4 perks on them. One status perk. I'm trying to kind of comprehend exactly what they're saying here. So some heroes have limited melee or ranged options, so their efficiency perks cover all options available to that hero. Melee gear for Iron Man only ever has 2 status perks because he only has light combo ender and signature attack perk types. These 2 types are covered by a single perk on discordant gear. Okay, so they're combining previous things that would have been 2 perks, they're combining into 1 perk on discordant gear. So that's what they mean by it's almost like having on certain pieces, it's almost like having 4 perks, because one of those perks would be the equivalent of having 2 separate perks on another piece of gear. So that's how it's almost like 4. So let me see. The reverse is true for these heroes on their ranged gear. Discordant ranged gear for Hulk, Captain America, Thor, and Miss Marvel covers all ranged options since they only have 2 ranged perk types. For an example, Hulk's perk applies the Sonic status effect to small and large rocks instead of one or the other. That's a good change. This is the first step to getting a wider variety of specific or interesting attack types to apply status effects. I agree, that's a great change. I like that they did that. So note that every new perk made for this gear set does not require a percentage chance to activate. We want to make any combat condition to be more within player agency and make raw damage less of a requirement for gear. Fantastic. I like that a lot. So, Hero Gear Editions. There are several perks in Hero Gear that are so fun or bombastic that many players see the loss of a single perk as too high a price to pay for any potential benefit. We wanted to address that trade-off without negating the value of hero gear. To that end, we have added several hero gear specific perks to Discordant gear, with some perks only being available on the elite variants, so we kind of knew this already. Example, if you want Discordant gear with split multiplier, you'll have to complete the elite raid. Okay. So it looks like they have an example right down the bottom. I'll wait until I get to there. So there are a couple of new additions that are not related to the Sonic Conduit for Captain America and Iron Man. Each hero will get a hero-specific perk in this set, with some heroes getting new perks with new mechanics. Also making an appearance will be reprisals of already existing notable perks from other sets. Black Panther and Thor will not get entirely new perks in this set. In the case of Thor, he is already a powerhouse of a hero, so more effort was made to the other starting 6 heroes. Understandable, Thor is the meta right now. Black Panther is new, and we wanted to focus more on bringing the other heroes to his standard of interesting perk options. Bravo for that. Absolutely, 100%. Black Panther has the best perks in the game right now, and they're trying to have the other heroes catch up. Absolutely. They still have specific perks, some of which have been updated or given different names, but their time to shine will come in the future. Kate and Thor get more perks focusing on areas of combat to help increase player agency and build creation. One example of this is a perk improving Thor's hammer's melee damage or range damage during quantum overdrive. Oh, okay, I understand. So increase Thor's hammer melee damage or increased rain damage during Kate Bishop's quantum overdrive. Okay. Heroes like Black Widow and Captain America will see a couple of interesting options. One of my favorites is one of Captain America's mains will appreciate the Captain's Charge buff with a difficult trigger condition, but with the Counter Charge gear perk, performing Counter Strike activates Captain's Charge. That's interesting. So I enjoy playing Captain America, of course, but I'm not a Captain America main, so I would have to go back over exactly what the Captain's Charge buff does and what Counter-Strike, like, what that involves, because I know there's, like, a whole parry lab with Captain America that I just am not really aware of, or I'm not really used to, I should say. So, the most complex addition to Discordant gear is the status leak system. When a player deals a certain damage type against an enemy with an active status condition, a status effect is spread to nearby enemies. In this way, the effect is similar to the Sonic Conduit buff that spreads between you and your teammates, but on the enemy's side instead. Let's look at Vibranium Double Leak as an example. Attacking an enemy with an active Sonic status effect using Vibranium damage sends the Vibranium status effect to nearby enemies. Okay, so it was a little different than what they said before. Before they said it was just you use Vibranium and it'll spread Vibranium, but they still have to be affected by the Sonic status effect. I mean, that's understandable. It's still dope, though. So if you have an enemy currently affected by Sonic status, you hit them with Vibranium, it'll spread to other enemies too. There is a small cooldown of 2 seconds for the leak to spread the Vibranium status effect. This gives you enough room to build more Vibranium status damage to affect on nearby enemies. There are 3 types of status leak: Vibranium, Cryo, and Shock. We knew this. Think of Sonic status effect as a transmitter for another status effect, so it looks like it's going to be like that for all 3 statuses. I look forward to you discovering the other gems like these in Discordant gear, but I'll touch on one here: Perk Breaker. So we already talked about this as well. So it increases damage for gear perks by 200%. So that will be like the payloads and stuff like that. So what else does it say about it? But a perk increasing a hero's power or attack damage, like Heavyweight Breaker, is unaffected by Perk Breaker. We knew this. The larger theme of Discordant gear is teamwork, whether it's getting benefits from tanks staying in melee range of an enemy or building status effects in certain ways. Sticking together and coordinating with your teammates really pays off with Discordant gear. Okay, so I mean, overall, definitely, this is a lot of good information. The best thing that I've kind of learned out of this, or I should say is clarified in my opinion, out of this blog, is the fact that it is 100% an exotic piece of gear that drops every single time you complete the raid. Because I cannot tell you, like, the Omega level threat family reunion is extremely fun, but the fact that after you complete it once for the weekly mission chain and you just get dog doo-doo as the reward when you complete it again, like it's like a rare ISO and upgrade modules, that makes it so not worth it to keep on running it. But if you can just keep on running the raid and always get an exotic piece of gear, this is excellent. So this is excellent. The gears that the perks that they're adding on these new sets of gears, where it's like a lot teamwork aspect, I honestly love the direction that they're going with it. Especially the only issue that I'll have is they have to make sure that they can keep up with the meta that they've created themselves. So they said that they've made sure to have a damage buff of some kind on these pieces of gear. So I hope that's the case, because if there's the damage buff on these pieces of gear and they just work so cohesively well as a team and they can give you a variety of different buffs, I truly think that this gear does have the potential to be the best gear in the game and be the new meta. So I honestly can't wait for this new update to drop on the 30th. The 30th is going to be crazy this month. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and comment if you, enjoy a lot of the stuff that's coming out about the Klaw Raid. I think the Klaw Raid is going to be the best piece of content we have gotten in this game so far. But I appreciate you for watching the video.